Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is set to introduce many different aspects and elements to the Star Wars franchise that fans have never seen before on the big screen by director J.J. Abrams. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. So, one aspect of Episode 9 that a lot of people are really excited about is, of course, exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to utilize all of the different characters in this movie, such as Luke, Leia, Lando, Han Solo, Kylo Ren, Rey, Poe, Finn, the list goes on and on. And one great thing about Episode 9 is that this is the culmination of the Skywalker saga. They are treating this not just as the sequel to, of course, The Last Jedi, but they're also treating this as the sequel to the past 8 movies that come before it. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the set leaks and one of the plans by Disney and Lucasfilm, and even George Lucas himself, this is where things begin to get very exciting. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing is that it's described that during the rewrites of the film for the months of November and December of 2018 is when J.J. Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy, and Chris Terrio came to the conclusion to involve George Lucas in many scenes for the film that would have a major impact on how The Last Jedi would be perceived. It's said that George was heavily involved with many of the flashbacks that would tell more stories of Luke Skywalker and Leia, as well as introducing a new power for Luke that would be used in the film and something that fans had never seen before. Additionally, it's described that Snoke's origins and the origins of the First Order were a part of Lucas's ideas that he suggested to Abrams to be used, as well as providing action for the character of Luke Skywalker in certain scenes. It's also described that George Lucas planned to fix certain parts of Episode 8 that fans disliked, about filling in many patches with Episode 9 by working closely with JJ and Chris Terrio, and expressing what needed to be done. It said that many of George's choices that were made for Episode 9 were implemented to reflect on The Last Jedi and change how the film is examined. So, I want to go over a couple of parts about this. In case you guys did not know, George Lucas, he had quite a role with this movie, I would have to say. He really did have a lot of work for The Rise of Skywalker, since this really is the end of the end when it comes to the Skywalker saga, not the end of Star Wars, but the end of the Skywalker saga. This is exactly why they wanted George on board. Not only would it be a great choice in order for George to express his opinions and insert many of his different ideas into the movie, but it would also really benefit themselves because it would satisfy a lot of fans. Which honestly, guys, is why it leads me to believe that this was an act of desperation over doing something very genuine. Let's think of it like this. If it was very genuine at the very start, they would have had George Lucas involved with, of course, The Force Awakens, and maybe even The Last Jedi at that. So the fact that they are doing this last minute, in my point of view, this without a doubt is an act of desperation, as I actually have gone over before in the past. So, the fact that a lot of the choices that were made by George for Episode 9 were meant in order to change how fans view The Last Jedi and how it would have major impacts on, of course, Episode 8 and how the film is perceived, this tells us that George Lucas is restructuring everything related to Episode 8 and the entire sequel trilogy. Now, after all, regardless, Disney, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, everybody else involved with The Last Jedi, deny the backlash, deny that it even exists, and stuff around those lines, and even deny that it had an effect on the soloist Star Wars story box office results and how it didn't do too well, and it changed over 10 years worth of Star Wars movies. So honestly, guys, without a doubt, whether this is an act of desperation or if this was a genuine move, nonetheless, it's a win-win because this is a step in the right direction to have George Lucas on board. I think that the reason as to why this movie is fascinating to me is that we're focusing on just this movie and this movie alone. If you guys, like myself, had issues with The Last Jedi, and by the way, if you enjoyed The Last Jedi, that's fine. But if you had issues with The Last Jedi, the way I look at it is I'm looking forward and I'm not looking back. I'm looking at Episode 9. Which, unfortunately, it's not how it should be. We should be able to look back at a film and say, hey, remember those moments? It was great. It was exciting. It was so well written. Unfortunately, for me at least, and I'm sure some of you guys out there will agree, that The Last Jedi did in fact have a lot of storytelling issues. The way it was written, the way it was executed, and stuff around those lines. But like I say, everybody's open to their opinion. If you enjoyed the movie, That's absolutely fun. So George Lucas being involved with episode 9 here and changing all of these different ideas in order to make a major reflection on The Last Jedi is a fantastic move and is a great step in the right direction in order to hopefully course correct the sequel trilogy and to make us really and truly look at The Last Jedi in a different way. And that is the plan by, of course, George Lucas, Daisy Ridley, or should I say Disney, and of course J.J. Abrams. So Daisy Ridley, I wanted to get on this for a second. We do know that her lineage as Rey was changed by J.J. Abrams in Episode 9, so that's another thing to look forward to in Episode 9 for sure. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.